When you consider the internal combustion engine has been around for a little over 100 years, actually a little longer than that, to come up with a whole bunch of new ideas that qualifies for a patent from a guy that doesn't have an engineering background is an astounding achievement.
It's not about solving the problem for the next 6 months or 1 year. We're looking at things that maybe won't come to fruition for 10 or 20 years.
The long and the short of it is, unless you have huge resources, it is very, very, very costly to try and develop an engine and a MotoGP bike.
Because the company wants to also be like Honda, which is 50 years old, or Harley, which is 100 years old.
For somebody to come in who has no experience manufacturing motorcycles, starting from scratch with new technology, I think it's going to be
Impossible.
The rules state that the motorcycle has to be a prototype. MotoGP actually comes from the blue-ribboned class of motorcycle racing.
There was a letter, somebody sent me a 2-page letter today about, you know, how I'm a modern-day fool.
I don't think it'll ever happen, to be honest. Not in my lifetime.
How will be the laughingstock of the century if we fail.
He's going against all the odds.
いや、知らないです。I don't know.
How I'll end up being like a Tucker or DeLorean.
What he's doing is a giant leap of faith, and it's going to be a hell of a lot of work.
It's a big mountain. I mean, it's a big mountain.
You can go out there and ride around, but to compete, you've got to have the backing of the factory.
Everybody likes the David versus Goliath type stuff.
I actually hand wrote on that letter. I thought I'd fax it back to him, then I just threw it away. But it was like, you know, I know the cost of failure, and what I know of that cost is greater than he'll ever imagine.
If you got a bike and you got something that's competitive and you can get it on the track, why not?
I mean, he has no idea what I've risked. I mean, I'll risk my life for this project right now.
This is a guy that took his own money, sat on an aeroplane and decided that I don't have an engineering background, but I can potentially look at something and with a clean slate come up with some interesting new ideas. And he actually managed it.
Okay, clear? Clear.
They say it's a fine line between genius and madness. I guess we'll see.
The very, very beginning, it was just me. I probably spent 3 or 4 months on my own.
MotoCzysz is born in Michael Czysz's garage 2 years ago. Michael first imagines the concepts that will become the foundation of his new state-of-the-art motorcycle effort.
It was honest, true, grassroots startup. The hours were primarily after work and at night and on the weekends, so it made sense doing it at home. We did everything here. The bike was built here, the bike started here for the first time, and it lived here. Except for the body work. When we started getting into needing to do sanding and stuff, that was just more than this little room could handle. So I borrowed a neighbor's garage down the street and would ride back and forth on one of these little dirt bikes. When we originally had it here, we had, you know, like I said, 4 desks along here with the heater there and the computers here, and the C1 was here. The engine was built on that desk, the mule engine set in the corner, and we had a drill press and a milling machine and just a few items.
After learning of his son's quest to build a race bike like no other, Michael's father, Terry, joins Team MotoCzysz as chief engineer.
So that I wanted to be there with him and to make it as safe as possible. I know the dangers of the sport. I've seen it for a very long time, and I just wanted to help. Before I was born, my father was into motorcycles, and Specifically Norton's. I walked into this one shop that had a Norton just like this, and it had special signature on the back. It was the original bike that Buddy Perry rode, and lo and behold, CIS is stamped on the engine.
MotoCzysz moves from the small carriage house to an empty warehouse closer to town. Within these four walls, Michael Ciz's dream will be born.
I fully expect us to be reviewing drawings in the next 2 or 3 months, finished drawings in 4 to 5 months, rapid prototype parts in less than 6, and real parts in 7 and 8, and be riding in 9 and 10. You know, we're part of a significant business. We're trying to be a player in a huge show that's already existing. And we've got a window of opportunity that all of us would like to try to take on. And if we do that, we need to have a world-class bike done in 11 months.
Taking on the monumental task of designing, engineering, and manufacturing a MotoGP caliber motorcycle from scratch, Michael assembles a team of brilliant cutting-edge engineers from around the world.
What we were looking for was experience, and we really reached out to get guys with great experience, but we ended up with, since most of the people contacted me first, what?
Together, they will attempt to reinvent what we know of engine technology and build a motorcycle like none other in existence.
Right now, where we're headed is to our machinist, which I've never been to. Oh, did you bring schedules, Federico?
Yeah. Sono Federico Cioni, presidente di MotoCzysz. MotoCzysz è un progetto incredibile, è un sogno che faremo diventare realtà. Seguiteci, fateci sentire che ci siete, abbiamo bisogno di tutta la vostra passione. I was born and raised in Bologna. I worked for Ducati Motor in Italy for 7 years. I will be eternally grateful to Michael for having given me this opportunity. I mean, because he basically hired me on the spot. I went in and he's just like that. We don't talk much. It's really like between us, it's you know, we just understand what we want from each other. I really enjoy the American way of doing things. I really enjoy the attitude. I really enjoy the fact that you never start beaten. You always think you can make it, even if you are the underdog or if you're nobody. We have a big business plan laid ahead for the next 10 years or so. We want to start competing in MotoGP. We want to go there and see, you know, and see how we compete against the big guys. 2 to 3 years from now, we want to be compared to Ducati and MV Agusta. Do you guys need to call Simon in? Simon's here?
Hey, Joe, Michael.
Oh, that's great.
Designing and engineering the MotoGP bike requires major communication between each international team member.
Wow, Monday morning, that's really a big deal here. This might be a big problem. You won't like that.
What's up? No bed plate?
You got a revision in the drawing from Scott.
What? I can't find it. I know we received them, I can't find it. And I can't remember if I actually told us some more. So it's number 341.
I ordered some more.
And do we have them?
Je m'appelle Nicolas Régnier. J'ai intégré MotoCzysz en novembre 2005 en tant que responsable de la conception du train avant et du train arrière, donc des suspensions, et du bras oscillant et de la géométrie de la moto. We are just a small team and we just do everything in-house. Everything is under our own control. That's a big thing. That's a big thing. If you look at MotoGP, it's all Japanese. Ducati is a bit different, but Japanese, they're huge factories with 250 engineers working on those MotoGP bikes only. We are quite a restrained number compared to that. We are very small. It's quite interesting, really. On the personal side, it's very exciting because it's always a new experience. And professionally, whether you work with English or Americans or French, maybe it doesn't change that much as long as people know what they're doing. What I like very much is really the different culture that you have grouped inside the same project. So this is pretty good. This is very exciting.
But we have tracking numbers.
Team MotoCzysz hopes to race their new C1 within 1 year. But first, they have 3 months to present a working prototype to the public, or they risk losing all outside financing and their dream will end. This is no easy task, considering they're building the engine from the ground up. They first must put it through a comprehensive process called dyno testing.
My part is looking after the development dyno testing, and my chief areas of design will be all the internal rotating, reciprocating components. Be involved from conception through to be there when it finally coughs into life for the first time on the dyno, when it first takes to the track, and then when it goes through its first race and hopefully onto its first win. This represents a very rare opportunity to be involved from the grassroots all the way up.
Yes, it's nice to be a part of a project that brings another layer to it, another layer of design in effect. And so it was a great opportunity for us to actually, stretch our wings, I guess, and that was probably one of the largest motivators, that there was this opportunity there for us to bring our skills together.
Do you need to be looking at the one after the signal?
That's what, yes, that's what he said. So directly after the two.
So it has to be a 2 or a...
No,
2 or a 3.
Can you pull 1mm out? Or do you want to make it transparent?
I'm responsible for all the carbon fiber parts, for the bodywork parts as well as the structural parts. From the engineering side, obviously the structural parts are the more interesting ones. I worked in other companies where it was way more difficult to be accepted as a woman in this kind of job. It's very easy here. I think it's more important to have a few people who are really dedicated to their job than to have a huge team of people who are not really dedicated. And I think Michael did a great job to get all the people together.
Truth of it is I really haven't heard anything negative. I think the only thing that possibly worries people is, can he survive? I mean, everybody knows the challenges and the expense that's involved in this. I would estimate a MotoGP team, you've got to be looking at in between probably $50 or $60 million.
Apparently, Ducati had spent $32 million to build their Desmosedici. Honda spent $100 million last year, and will have spent to date about $3.5 million.
It actually started off as the 500cc class back in the two-stroke days.
Two-stroke engines complete the processes of intake, compression, power and exhaust in only 2 strokes as opposed to 4. This gives them more power than the 4-stroke engines used by street-legal motorcycles.
In the 60s, it was dominated by 4 strokes. In fact, it was dominated by a brand called MV Agusta. In about the sort of mid-70s, Yamaha came along with their 2-stroke machines and started winning. Until pretty much the turn of the century, to the new millennium, when really 2-stroke machines were starting to become less popular. Although they're incredibly efficient, they are somewhat environmentally unfriendly. You can't really get 2-strokes licensed on the street, so development of 2-strokes had really slowed down and even stopped. And Dorna, the rights holder of MotoGP, decided that it would be smart to really start addressing the real manufacturer's needs, which was 4-stroke. So they changed the rules, went to 900cc or 990cc, I think, four-stroke machines, and the thing's gone crazy ever since.
For 2007, the formula changed again, and the four-strokes are now running with 800cc engines. The vast majority of motors in cars, boats and motorcycles are piston-driven combustion engines. This engine design was popularized by Gottlieb Daimler and Carl Benz in 1885. This same technology powers every MotoGP bike on the raceway today. As they blaze through turns, the gyroscopic effects of the crankshaft forces the rider to exert extraordinary effort in order to maintain stability in the curves. During a MotoGP race, this battle takes an incredible toll on the rider's stamina. The MotoCzysz C1 has a cure for this with their new counter-revolution Z-Line 4 engine that splits the crank, counter-rotates the two halves, and places them longitudinally in the chassis. The counter-revolutionary engine is an amazing concept. It's brilliantly simple. For Michael Czysz to not only develop his own chassis, but to also develop his own engine is incredible.
The head engineer at Honda said the problem with that engine is you'd have inconsistent intakes and inconsistent exhaust, meaning two intakes would be short and two would be long because of the way the staggering is. Well, we've got around that. We have 4 identical intakes and 4 identical exhausts.
If you can imagine, these two cranks are rotating opposite to each other. So you look at a side view, one of them actually, the power goes into a side gear, which if this is rotating clockwise, this rotates counterclockwise, and the torque tube rotates clockwise.
There must be a whole bunch of people just sitting there going, damn it, why didn't we think of that?
I've raced motorcycles all my life and been around them since I was 7 years old. And I saw this and I thought, how can, in this day and age, someone think that up that hasn't been thought up before? Why didn't we do that before?
It's a very narrow, very thin engine. I think it's thinner than the rear tire.
Because it's a race bike, we like to ensure that we can have a transmission that can be removed at the track, gears changed, put back together quite quickly.
The counter-revolution engine has a removable bottom-mounted transmission. Its ease of access greatly reduces pit repair time. Additionally, the MotoCzysz C1 is designed to be completely customizable and adaptable to each individual rider and track condition.
Each racetrack is different in terms of its corners, what they lead onto, straight or whatever aspect of the track. So it's important to actually ensure that the rider and bike are in a gear ratio that'll get them onto the straight in the most efficient way. So in order to do that, you actually now need to swap out all 6 of the individual gears. Each one of these is a separate piece, so we can change each ratio, anything we want. We can have them all the same.
It's a unique transmission in and of itself. It's 100% designed in-house. All the major components are completely custom designed.
In addition to engine advancements, the MotoCzysz team improves upon other traditional designs too.
On conventional forks, you would have those 2 legs. That would be a cylinder for each of them. And inside those 2 legs, you would have a spring and the damping system. So basically, the 2 legs would have 2 functions. The damper, and at the same time, they would guide the fork up and down. Here we have separated systems. You can see the damper with its spring right in the middle. And on each side, we have the 2 legs just for the guidance. So the functions are completely separated and optimized by individual components. So basically, when the suspension moves up and down, inside there, you have this inner tube, this outer tube with some flat faces on the inside also, and between you have linear bearings. Linear bearings with rollers. They are very strong to cope with the load under braking.
The front end he's developed, his slipper clutch, the way he's laid out the motor, the rear end geometry he's got going. I mean, there are significant reasons as a racer that I can see that thing leading the world.
MotoCzysz has approximately 20 patent applications on file. and we have about 10 that's just sitting there waiting to be written.
Before MotoCzysz can become a fully self-sustaining company, they must secure venture capital by proving that the cutting-edge technology in the C1 motorcycle actually works.
What I definitely want to do, Simon, is have them put another shield in this area, 1/4 inches with 2 little standoffs. And that'll help a little bit.
I've never invested in a startup in my life, but I became very impressed with Michael and his ability when I started researching what he'd done with his life and then his commitment to this project. I believed he could do it.
With only a couple of months before the public unveiling, Team MotoCzysz must push themselves to turn their design dreams into hard reality. Armed with designs to build the most advanced motorcycle ever conceived, Team MotoCzysz prepares for their public debut. If the C1 proves to be MotoGP worthy, Team MotoCzysz will secure financing into the future. If not, their dream of changing the motorcycle world will never see the racetrack.
It's from Jim. Okay, I'll see you in a little bit.
He's a great student of the market and a great student of race technology, and he has tremendous passion for motorsports and great commitment to his own ideas.
There's a lot of passion at the origin of that project. It's not, it's a huge hill to climb to build from scratch a MotoGP bike to go fight the top factories. But that's also what has been moving a lot of the racing industry. And to do that by using revolutionary concepts, I think those are pretty much the 2 defining concepts behind this project, passion and revolution.
As far as the resources he had financially to complete what he wanted to do, I still thought that that was going to be a pretty daunting task, but when I realized his true vision and how passionate he was about it, I thought, okay, all he needs is a couple breaks and he'll get there eventually.
It all looks cool and it all looks fun, but right now it is an absolutely nightmare.
Without a working engine, the bike can't be assembled. The situation is critical.
We can't really do hardly anything until the engine gets there because it's a stress member and it is a big part of the frame. So effectively, you really only have until the 22nd at noon to do all of it.
Now that we know the program has told us what size tool we can use and still clear going inside, now we don't have the proper tool, and it needs to be at least 5 inches long, and we need to be able to turn it back. We don't have that in stock, and I don't know if anyone here locally does. So we'd have to red it in. That's worst case. But being it's after 5 o'clock, we can't call anyone.
Hey, Jim, Michael, are you still at the shop? Okay, we're having trouble getting through. We need to have Simon go to Scott and have Scott make a dummy valve guide. So okay. Yeah, it's an impossibly short period of time. I mean, when the bike comes together, even if it comes together perfectly, it is in a complete raw state. The next 2 months after Laguna needs to all be spent on, or as much as possible, on development. All you can do is just make the bike as rideable as it can be in that period of time and go with what you have and just hope that it's enough that you don't get lapped.